So let's move on to the next step. So next step is through the same window, through MDT server, MDT deployment workbench, deployment share, MDT deployment share, that is DMDT share. Right click and say update deployment share. Okay, so we'll go back here. Now we have made a lot of changes. We have added our operating systems, we have added our applications, we have removed our x86 platform support. We have told this MDT share to generate our ISO files or bootable Vim files for x64 support. So a lot of changes have been done. So we need to now update our share. So what I will do is right click on that share and say update deployment share. Okay. Now it will walk you through with some options. So let's go back and let's see what options we need to select. So the first option we need to select is completely generate the boot images and click on next. So completely regenerate the boot images and next. So in the next screen, verify the summary and click next. So next. Now it will start to update our MDT shares. Okay. Now if we have not done, let's say we have not done this x86 removal and all these things, it will give a lot of errors over here. That x86 tools not found or not able to generate the ISO files and all. So in order to remove all those errors and make this process streamlined, I have already done this removal of x86 and everything, right? So that's why this process is looking very smooth to you guys. But believe me, I have worked for days for removing all those errors and just prepared this PPT with all the correct steps. So now it is generating our WinP boot images, it is updating our OS entries, it is updating our application entries, everything it is doing. Okay. It is adding your background picture file while you are deploying the operating systems and all. So everything has been done. So let it complete. I will just pause this video for a minute. Once this is complete, I will come back to you with the next step. So now you can see this process is completed. It has done a lot of steps and all, and you can see it has completed our ISO also, and then copying it to a deployment share. Everything is completed successfully. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So we have already done this Vim boot or ISO images creation process, and now finally once the process is complete, we need to click on finish. Okay, as I told you before, this is not an easy process to complete. We have done all the prerequisites correctly, that's why this process went smooth. Okay, so I will say finish over here. So next step is through MDT server manager WDS console, we need to add our boot images now. The boot images which have been created in the previous step through MDT, we need to add to our WDS server. Okay, so that WDS server will boot from that boot image. So through MDT server manager WDS console, boot images, right click boot image and add boot image. So I will come back to my MDT server. I'll close this as of now, and I will open my WDS console through my server manager. Deployment services. Here we need to expand our servers, MDT server, WDS server, which we have installed in the previous steps, and expand and right click on boot images and say add boot image. Okay. So next step is we need to go to a particular path for adding that boot image. So the path will be MDTSHARE boot and then light touch p x64.vm. So that vim file we need to add. So I will go to browse and I will go to the MDTSHARE boot and then this particular vim file light touch p x64. I will see. Yes. Okay. Now how this vim file came here, because we have completed our previous step. We have generated that vim file by updating our MDTSHARE, if you remember, right? We have selected that option, generate that vim file and generate ISO and everything, right? If you remember. So that's why these vim files have got generated. So this one we need to add. Okay. Let's move on to the next step. So provide appropriate name for your boot image and click next. So if I am clicking next, it will ask me to provide a appropriate name. So I will just give you appropriate name. I can copy the same thing for description also, right? I will say next. And now on summary, click next and it will start adding our boot image. Okay, so it will add. Operation is complete. So we need to click finish once boot image addition process completes. So this is done. You can see now the boot images, this MDT light touch Windows WinPE vim file has been added. Now our PXE means our client machine will boot from this particular vim file and it will direct us to our MDT client operating system process, deployment process, OSD process. Okay, I hope I am clear. So next step is restart the WDS service once. So just to make sure that this particular new change has been taking effect correctly, I will restart my WDS service. Okay, so this is done. Now let's move on to the next step. So next step is now we need to create a fresh VM, it is virtual machine, through Hyper-V Manager as follows. Our VM configuration will be Windows 11 CL1, the VM name. Then location will be our external drive MDT folder, and then Win11 CL1. HDD will be 100 GB. Network will be internal, and IP will be DHCP provision. It will automatically take the IP. Okay, and RAM will be 16 GB. So let's go back to our main machine, Hyper-V Manager, and here I will say right click, new virtual machine. Next, I will give a name. Okay, store the virtual machine in our appropriate folder, MDT11. Okay, next, generation 2, that's fine. Next, RAM will be 16 GB. So network connection will be internal, so it will only communicate with our MDT server. Next, our HDD will be 100 GB. Okay, next, we are not installing any operating system because we are installing our operating system through MDT. Okay, so install operating system later, that's fine. Next, and I will say finish. Okay, now Windows 11 CL1. Okay, and operating system, of course we will be installing through MDT, that will be Windows 11. So install an operating system later, that option we have already selected. So this step is completed. So next step is we need to start the newly created Windows 11 CLVM, and it should boot from our DHCP plus WDS provision. Okay, so let's go back to our VM. I will double click on it. Go to settings first, just to make sure that the boot from network adapter is selected. Now three components should be in place for starting our MDT. Okay, first component will be our DHCP server, which we have installed on our DC, if you remember. Second component is our WDS service, and third component is our MDT service. Okay, so let's see whether our client will boot from the network or not. Starting it. And you can see it has started booting from the network service. Now that network service boot is completed, PXE booting is completed through DHCP, and now MDT booting is started. Now this is our MDT, Microsoft Deployment Toolkit wizard, right? So everything is working fine as of now for us. Okay. Here you can configure the static IP also, but we don't require that. So let's move on to the next step, what we need to do. So through Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, click on Run the Deployment Wizard to install a new operating system option. Okay, Run the Deployment Wizard to install new operating system. So we need to click on that. Now, just to make sure that everything is working fine, I'm just repeating the steps. Your DHCP should be working, your WDS should be working, and your MDT deployment share should be working. Everything should be in place. Up to getting this point also is not that much easy. We have done everything correctly, step by step. That's why this particular MDT deployment is working fine as of now. Okay, now next is we need to specify the domain controller's user's credentials and click next. So in the user we will put in MDT admin, which is our master domain account. Password, the MDT admin's password. And domain will be our MDT lab.local. Okay, and I will say okay. Let's move on to the next step. So in the next step, we need to select our preferable operating system for deployment and click next. Now we have only provision one Windows 11 deployment operating systems. If you have multiple operating system, it will show you the list over here like that. As of now, we have only one, so we will select that WIN11 deploy. I will say next. Let's move on to the next step. So in the next step, we need to specify the computer details as shown in the sideline figure and click next. So I will change my host name also of this new operating system, just to make sure that everything is specific. WIN11 CL1. Join a domain to join again MDT lab.local, which is our domain which we have created. Username we have already specified, MDT admin, password we have already specified, right? If you don't want to join the domain, you can choose this option, join our group also. That's not a problem. So I will say next over here. Okay. Now in the next step, it will ask you to move any user data and settings if you want to for the previous operating system, in case if you are having, or in case if you are having data stored in somewhere and you want to move this to the new operating system. So we don't have that option or that data, so we will choose do not move and we will say next. So do not move user data, next. Again, in the next step, it will ask you for restore any user data and settings. So we don't have that particular any user data or settings in store, so we will use do not restore, and we will say next. But again, these options are preferable according to your scenario. If you are having any user data or setting, you can choose one from here. I will say next. So in the next screen, it will ask you for the regional and date and time settings. So I will choose my regional and data settings, regional and time settings, and I will choose my time zone. I will say next. In the next step, it will ask for selecting the applications as per your requirement and click next. So we have deployed uh, two applications through MDT, if you remember. So I will choose both ones, Office and Symantec ICV, right? I will say next. And now comes the important step. We need to specify the local administrator password. If you remember, we have selected that option previously to specify the local admin password. This is a very best practice to choose the local admin password, because in case anything goes wrong, at least you can log in with your local admin credentials. So I will give the local admin password over here. Now I will say next. And now finally, still, now we have not selected the BitLocker option, that's why it is not asking us over here. But previously when I was creating that PPT, it was asking me for the BitLocker also, so we don't require that one. So you can choose do not enable the BitLocker option also. And now finally, it will ask us to begin the operating system, but before that we need to just make sure that all the details which we have filled up is showing correctly. So I'm just verifying all those details, everything looks correct, and I will say begin. And now it will start installing my operating system through the task sequence. Okay, it will format my existing hard disk, it will create the partitions, and then it will install the operating system also, right? It will start applying my vim file, that is my Windows 11 image file from here. So let it complete, it will take some time. Once this is moving on to the next step, I will come back to you. So you can see now this is currently moving on. It is applying our vim file, 46% completed. So currently we are monitoring the OSD process. So our first phase of OSD is completed, and it has rebooted the operating system. It will automatically go to the second phase where it will try to complete our operating system installation as well as our applications installation. Let's move on. Now our booting phase has been completed. The first phase has already been completed. You can see it is still booting for the next phase. And now it is starting with the next GUI phase of OSD, operating system deployment. just save my display settings. And now I will log in with my local admin account. Now the password which we have specified during the OSD setup, we need to enter that one. Okay, it is still going on with the OSD process. Okay, by the time we will see, yeah, so this step we have already completed. We have logged in with our administrator account local admin password in the first phase. Okay, now our operating system has been booted for the first time after the OSD installation, and now it should start with the next process automatically for installing our applications. Okay, so you can see over here running the task sequence, and now it is installing my Office 2021. So you can see in the background it is installing our Office. And it is installing through quiet mode, although it is showing this particular screen, but that's fine. It is not asking us for any inputs, so it will automatically install. Our Office 2021 installation is about to complete, and you can see Office installed now. And now it is installing my second application also, that is my Symantec Antivirus 14.3 RU9. You can see over here it is getting installed in a quiet mode. Okay, so my Office installation has completed. Now my Symantec installation will also get completed in a while. So now it is actually running the post custom task, and it is about to install our operating system completely, Windows 11, and then it is restoring your normal user state and everything. So unless you are upgrading your operating system, this should be the way for installing your clean state or a fresh operating system through your MDT. Okay, it's just about to complete. It will take another 2 minutes, and finally it will give us a prompt for the operating system deployment completion. So this is done now. You can see the task sequence has been completed, and you can see the success message over here that our operating system deployment completed successfully. Okay, during the deployment process, 0 errors, 0 warnings were reported, and you can see the details over here. No details for the errors or warnings, otherwise it will give the errors for those ones. Okay, so I will say finish, and let's move on to the next step. So we have already completed this particular OSD process, right? After logging, make sure Office 2021 application gets installed successfully on Windows 11. This is already done. Also make sure that SAV 14.9 application also, this is also done, right? And we finally got the success message also, right? So this is how the OS deployment gets finished. Now let's verify the couple of applications whatever we have installed, right? So here is your Symantec Endpoint Protection. It is requiring restart, but that's fine. It is already installed, and Office also already installed. So thank you all for your time for watching this particular MDT video series. This is your host signing off from Sarup IT Solutions. If you like this particular video, do share with your friends and colleagues, and do not forget to subscribe to this particular channel. Thank you very much once again. Have a good day.